Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, and hey, hello, happy Wednesday. A very special Wednesday indeed. In fact, you can see that I've actually shaven my face, which, not the best idea. Another bad hair day as well for me, but the power of Goat Jesus is behind me with white colored dildos in both hands, and that means that I'm kind of neutral right here. So let's get into the live scene right here, right now, and of course, as always, before we begin, wishing you the happiest of happy, best of best Wednesdays. Is it Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday possible. Anyways, let's actually kind of go over here to the Bitstamp chart that we've been working off of as we have hit the first blue box territory, wicking off the ultimate low of it. So it's actually filled up this area quite nice indeed. This is why I'm not necessarily looking for further downside at the current moment in time. Yes, I am overall bearish. Yes, I do think that we break this area over time, but again, over time being that key X factor. Overall, we're kind of hitting a just nice thick area right here. Not only do we have some nice horizontals, but this dotted trend line over here that you're looking at going back to the genesis of Bitstamp, which has never been broken in Bitcoin's history. Well, that is acting kind of as support in this region as well, currently coming in around 4,400 even or so, which we're certainly floating around at the current moment in time. You also have the 786 Fibonacci retracement coming around in this area, and I do believe that, yes, we had a measured move off of the smaller descending triangle that I do believe we broke to the downside as well. So let's just actually kind of apply this, something like that. Is it like this? Or, whoops. Oh. Wrong one. There we go. Yep, coming right around here, just breaking down from the 6,100 level right over here and giving us our lower bound of this area. So again, as always, support and resistance is not necessarily like a single line, as I think a lot of people would have you believe. It's typically, like a range. So we are in that range, hitting all these areas. Again, if we put on the volume profile as well, you're going to notice that we're just in a very thick volume node as well, after kind of just shooting through this 5,500 level all the way down to the mid to low 4,000s, which we've been speaking about for a long time. Again, I'm not saying these things to sound arrogant or anything like that. That's not my intention. My intention is so that you can go, and do this and reproduce this yourself. But overall, to me, we probably will have a nice stutter around this area, just like my fucking voice, which is very, 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 very embarrassing. But I do appreciate all the support with that. But when it comes down to it, in the lower time frames right over here, especially on the 12-hour, we do have some signs that we are ready to put in a little bit of at least sideways, maybe even a little bit of upside. Right over here, we do have a major, major, major long-legged doji dildo coming in the bottom with heavy volume as well. That's the kind of volume I want to see for a local low. Now, yes, I do want to see us take out the upside of this guy to actually confirm it as a short-term, short-term bounce, I suppose you could say, which would have to take us above 47.61, the high of yesterday, essentially. So again, do keep these things in mind, because technically speaking, if we did take out the low, the low first at 48 and a half on stamp over here, then yes, I would be looking for further downside. We can talk about the next target after this 4,000 level would be essentially broken. Although I think that it's more likely that that we kind of fill in the space in between, the mid to high 4,000s to the low 5,000s area over the next couple of weeks, most likely. Again, weekly over here, kind of bouncing off of the 200 exponential, typically a very, 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 very strong support, and it looks, again, it operates on a weekly time frame. So I think by end of week, we probably do end at the very least above that 4,200 level where that's currently coming in around. So again, going down into the lower time frames, we did have some pretty interesting price action last night. I think a lot of people thought that this was going to be the low right here, and it did kind of look like one of but on second glaze, again, you have to realize that you had some pretty hefty dumping right here, and then yes, you did have a nice green dildo taking you higher, but there's a classic play where you just come back and sweep the lows. It's called sweeping the lows, and to just get out all of the genius bottom longers, which we actually did see quite a few longs go up at the bottom, and also trap a few more shorts. So I believe that that's what's going to be going on right here. We probably do start filling out this space and make some people sweat. As going over here to the data for longs and shorts on Finex, you can see that we actually have about 27,000 open longs. So we did liquidate a shit ton yesterday, a metric shit ton, but shorts have also shot up as well. So people kind of catching on to the overall malaise of the market. We do have above 31,000 open shorts, and let's go see what their average price is currently coming in around, because that will come into play pretty damn soon. Yeah, above 31,000. So again, most of these guys going shorts yesterday, starting right around here, we'll call it right around what is it, 10 a.m. my time. So yeah, let's go into the price action and see what it kind of lines up with right over here. 10 a.m. my time yesterday, the 20th, and where are we? Right Where was it? Yeah, right over here. So a lot of people, a lot of shorts with an average price somewhere between 42.50 and 45.50. So we can just kind of average that out and say about 43.50, something like that, 4400. So we're currently right fucking there is my point. Now, yes, we are operating below the 21 exponential on the hourly dildo time frame right here. We are kind of grinding it, which is actually not a good sign. That's actually not the best sign right here. But again, as long as we're kind of holding above that, I believe what level did we exactly say? I think 40.50. You know, I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty safe to say that, hey, you know, we got a local low in. If you were wanting to use the hourly to kind of judge this, whoops, let's go over here to GDAX, a fresh chart, and just kind of put this guy in. And I would say, hey, if you're going off the hourly right here, I'd say, all right, as long as you're closing hourly dildos above 4,300, you're generally okay. Yes, it is a range as well, though. You know, it goes all the way down here to about 42.50. So again, as long as you're kind of closing hourly dildos above this area right here, I will make the assumption that this is a local low right here. Again, taking all things into consideration, we do have some pretty hefty bullish divergence now on a higher time frame on a 12-hour right here. Yes, it does work. We got this guy going on right here. I mean, it's still pretty fucking low, and you could get that third drive, which is, you know, that does happen, you know, pretty often. So again, you know, if we were to come back to revisit this low right over here, again, my point is that I don't think it fully breaks right here right now. I think it's gonna happen a little bit over time. I think that we do go low. But again, that is my opinion. You know, I think it's going to take a little bit of time. First and foremost, essentially, you know, because we just rocketed down through this range right here, especially, I mean, it's really easy to see on a higher time frame. It's likely that if Bitcoin were to get back above, you know, 4,900, then yes, it probably does test the low 5,000s. You know, 5,200 would not be out of the question. And I do think that we're going to spend a lot of time filling in the blanks right in this area, especially when you look at the volume profile. I think that really is kind of the purpose of this part of the market phase. In essence, basically, we kind of skipped a building block when going up. You know, in 2017, Bitcoin just fucking ripped all the way goddamn up. And it kind of left a nice volume gap right here. And typically speaking, assets, you know, equities, whatever you're trading, commodities, it doesn't matter. They typically they typically tend to float towards, you know, higher areas of liquidity. And you can see that this one just fucking, you know, just ripped on down through. But what's going to happen here is we're likely going to come back in and see what the actual demand and supply is in there, and kind of build up that structural integrity. I always like to make that analogy, that analogy. Of basically like building a massive building. And we got to floor 69 over here, and we're trying to build up 69 floors, but everyone forgot to put in the elevator and all that kind of shit. So again, you know, coming back into filling the gaps, if you were to take out all of the numbers on the right hand side over here, you know, I'm sure most technical analysts would look at this and say, yeah, this looks pretty reasonable right here, and probably do come down into this area over time, you know, in the 3,000 level over time. I think that we will have a bounce before that, though. We can get to that in just a second, but for now, I think a lot of people are getting very bearish right now and representing their positions like that, as we saw in the longs and shorts. So that offers up the opportunity for us to kind of do a little bit of a counter trend movement, a little bit of a retracement, and make those people sweat. As always, you know, the heroes on crypto Twitter, those great people on YouTube, all these people on TradingView, yes, unfortunately, they will probably be washed out in this next move. But I think that we do move lower over time. So I have to be very careful in the way that I relate these concepts, because I think people, a lot of the time, what I've realized from streaming is that people will hear one thing and then not hear the most important thing that follows that last sentence. So hopefully I'm being very clear right now. If we go here to the 2-hour, we do have some bullish divergence coming out on the bottom as well. But I think that, well, actually, no, we do not. We actually do not have any bullish divergence on the 2-hour right here. I'm sure people are pulling it out over here and saying, Krown, what the fuck? It's all the way over here. And I'd say that's too far away, man. These points are like unrelated. You can actually see increasing volume on the dumps over here. Again, understanding the difference between just logging onto Investopedia and saying, wow, this looks bullish, or this looks bearish. It's like, no, there needs to be an interpretation and an understanding of the underlying psychology to really put these things into action and make good trades. So I would actually be looking at this and saying, no, not necessarily, but the 12-hour actually is showing some. So, okay, fucking hell, man. I always forget to announce this, my God, and I'm going to make an announcement in the Discord later. But if you're interested in any of my programs, the technical analysis program, the options program, or the Krown Jewel indicators, They are all on sale for Black Friday, 20% off with the coupon code or discount code BF20. Just the letter B, the letter F, and then 20, and it's all capitalized. So B, capital F, and then 20. There you go. Anyways, okay, back onto that. Of course, people always hate it when you talk about that kind of stuff, but I just want to make sure that the people who are interested in it do understand that and do have that full information. So there. Okay, great. Anyways, getting a few buy signals down here. I'm not sure how much I would trust it. Again, your oscillators, everyone was talking about how things are oversold, they're overdone. No, they can stay fucking down here for forever, man. When you have a trending market, when you break a not a 6 month long, but an 11+ month long consolidation, any which way, whether it's to the upside or downside, they will lie to you. And again, I'm looking for divergence on a higher time frame. 12-hour is showing some, but we go over here to the daily and no divergence to be found at all. In fact, yesterday's dump dildos were more intense. So overall, yes, I do believe that we very likely go lower. But we're going to have a little bit of a stutter right here, just like my silly voice. Anyway, 2-day over here, 2-day giving you nothing as well. 2-day just kind of resting on this next support. 2-day Stokes will be kind of getting down here, but still getting momentum to the downside. Again, don't care how far down it gets. These things can stay down. It's just kind of confirming that, okay, we're still, in the heavy grips of a bearish trend. Not really too many big signs. In fact, the 2-day and the 3-day make me think that we actually do sweep the lows once again. Again, I don't think that 4,000 like officially breaks, and when I say officially breaks, I mean like a dildo closing below it, like on a daily time frame or higher. But they do make me think that, hey, we could very easily, have another drawdown to kind of wash out a few more people, grab a few more shorts, and then maybe make some more people sweat on the other side. Again, on your 3-day dildo time frame over here, you actually do have the simple moving average cross, the 200 simple moving average and the 50 simple moving average. I actually don't have the 50 simple moving average in here. That green moving average is actually the 55, but you'd imagine that if the 55 is crossing it, then the 50 is, already as well. Again, I don't really care too much about simple moving average crosses. They don't have like a high degree in my experience. The exponential moving average crosses absolutely do. And as you can see over here, the 55 exponential, this green line right over here is starting to make a beeline for this purple 200 exponential moving average right over here. We've only had that exponential moving average cross, once in Bitcoin's, over 10-year history. And that would be right over here in 2014, which actually did lead you down to your ultimate red dildo capitulation death hole right over here. Again, getting the cross right there and then boom down. Now, this one is a little bit more clunky than the 2-day. The 2-day is the one to really be aware of, which we got, months ago. And that was really the tell to say, hey, 6,000 is not likely to hold. We're very likely to go lower. Again, we can all look at this thing. We can all look at this thing just from the most basic of basic chart guys way and say, hey, you got lower high after lower high after lower high. That's not necessarily the most bullish thing I've seen in my life. But once we got that really started to confirm my belief that, hey, we're going to go lower and we're going to go much lower. Again, people just don't look at these exponential moving averages. I don't know why. Again, where I come from, my background as an equity options market maker, I learned from people who had been doing this for 20, 30, and in one case 40 years. And in my God, man, the things the things that these guys can tell you is just phenomenal. So I'm so glad you have had that and understand what these really imply. The fact that all these slopes are headed down, the fact that we had the weekly 30 simple moving average slope to the downside as well, all of that coming into play, and finally getting the resolution right over here. This was the time to take a trade. Again, all the you had some analysts like Tone Vase and some other geniuses. I don't have anything against Tone Vase. Jesus Christ, it sounds like I'm like mad at him or something like that. I'm not. I think he's a great analyst, but I wouldn't necessarily agree with his trading behaviors. But hey, people taking shorts in this range, in my opinion, that is not the best trade to be having, because you're wasting an opportunity cost. Opportunity cost, that kind of like X factor that really separates, good traders from great traders, and understanding that in this range right here, you don't take a trade because your money is dead. It's not moving. Over here, once you get this rejection, money's fucking moving, baby. So that's the time to really be taking it, and that's the time that we really called out and said, hey, this is a rejection. We're very likely going to make we're going to likely actually break this area now. So that actually happened. Good. Coming all the way down over here. I've closed pretty much all my shorts. Holding a little bit of one right now, but not really anything too crazy, especially compared to my original position. Overall, though, again, going back into 2014, we only have one other example of this 2-day dildo exponential moving average cross happening. And again, that was right over here. And Bitcoin had very similar price action, right? You got the death cross right over here. And you even retested the 55, which we did during the tether scare, that first tether scare, because there's like a billion now. And apparently, the SEC is going to be investigating them now too. So I guess we're going to have actual resolution on the Bitfinex versus tether type shit soon. So again, that will be very interesting. But then, you spent about a month going along the 21 exponential, just like we did in 2018. And then boom, all the way fucking down. And you can see that this was just relentless over here. I'm sure a lot of people were thinking, oh, this is the low. No, this is the low. No, oh, fuck, this one's the low, And again, that is my point. And that's what I really want to bring out over here is one of the reasons why I'm very confident that that our current level is unlikely to be the low is we're just not having the same reaction as a capitulation event. When you actually do come down to your ultimate low, you're likely to bounce up just a phenomenal percent from there, to kind of indicate that, hey, someone with bigger pockets, whether it be an institution or just Soros or I don't know, fucking George Soros or whoever, or just whatever alien overload or overlord or reptilian government that you believe in, well, I want to see like a 50% move off the low. Maybe not 50%, but I want to see something analogous to this on extremely heavy volume. So let's kind of talk about what to look for, because I think a lot of people are maybe confusing this with capitulation. In order to have capitulation, I want to see volume analogous to what we did earlier in 2018. Keep in mind that volume is measured in coins traded, not necessarily dollars traded. So because price action was higher over here than over here, this is actually significantly more high volume than what we did just yesterday. So again, very, 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 very important. I want to see something in this range to be kind of denotative or demonstrative that by volume metrics, the low is potentially in. On top of that, again, we had about to put in perspective, and I'm not saying that you need exactly a 50% move off the low to kind of be confident that this is over. But hey, Jesus Christ, man, so many stutterings today. But hey, a 50% move off the low right now would take you back around 6,000, which we've been talking about as well now, which is extremely important going forward. Here 6,000 is the area at which I would say, hey, if Bitcoin price gets above that, I don't believe that we're going any lower. I believe that we're gonna actually start a new bull trend. So it is kind of good that it does match up with that right there. So that would actually be quite interesting. But again, I would also want to be looking at essentially it's just the area that we broke down from going back on over here to GDEX. It's actually charted out, so we can talk a little bit more about higher time frames for a second here, as they are going to be extremely important. As long as you're below 6150, I treat this like a down, a heavily down asset. I mean, again, doesn't mean I'm going to be shorting, right exactly here. I'd like to give this one a chance to breathe and kind of reassess it, But hey, if you were to get back above about 6,100, the area that we broke down from, yes, I would say, okay, it's very likely that we've seen the lows. So that also offers up a different perspective, right? Because I'm not interested in buying a capitulation low. I don't care. It's very, 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 very dangerous at the end of the day, especially in my opinion, because you just don't know when it's actually going to be. And if you're willing to give up a few gains, which I totally am, I'd be happy to wait until you get at least above 6,000 to really, put my money to work if I were like a longer term investor. Again, this is not financial advice, but saying what I would do in that exact same situation. But but if the SEC is listening, I would never do that. Okay. Anyways, when it comes down to it, so that's what I'd be looking right for over there. Again, we do have to keep in mind the higher timeframes. I know that people don't look at this too often. I don't mean that as like as like a stab at anyone or anything like that. But no one really looks at the monthly in Bitcoin land because people just don't believe that it exists. But again, the monthly tells all. The monthly is extremely good at getting the actual market cycles over here. And again, look at the 21 exponential moving average. That is currently coming in around about 6,000 areas. So again, I really like how that is agreeing with my sort of ideas as waiting for as looking at 6,000 to be that kind of demonstrative note that, hey, we have ended the actual bear market cycle if you can get back above there. Now, I do think that in either December or January, somewhere in there, we probably will make a run back up into this area into like the mid to high 5,000s to test the yellow 21 exponential moving average. And again, from my sort of background as being a market maker in equity options, I used to use the 21 exponential on monthly dildo time frame for traditional equities to decide, hey, are we generally bullish or generally bearish? If you're above it, you're generally bullish. If you're below it, generally bearish. Again, you've seen this before. You know this. You probably know this. But But going over here into 2014, you know, when did you really start? When did shit really get real? When you actually broke the 21 exponential. When did shit get really real to the upside? When you actually broke the 21 exponential to the upside as well. You know, getting the all this drawdown to your capitulation and accumulation events just about perfectly, I'd say. So again, and this kind of leads us into our second point. Where's the next support if for, you know, what do you want to call it? 4100? We can call it 4100. If 4100 fails, where's the next support I'd be looking towards? Well, actually, the green 55 exponential right here on the monthly diddle time frame. No one's talking about this one either. Again, I put extreme importance on this actually, and this one's coming in around 3700-ish area. So I'd be looking towards there. Again, people, I've been seeing this kind of parroted a lot as well recently, that if Bitcoin breaks 4,000, it's just going to be a straight shot to 3,000. Don't think so. I think that, you know, Bitcoin probably does get down to 3,000 and perhaps even below there as well to about 2,500. I kind of have the next range right around there, but I do think that 3,700 is kind of likely to bounce it beforehand, and, you know, just trap some more people, and, you know, as markets typically do. And again, I believe that we do have these ranges kind of denoted on the Bitstamp chart already. Yeah, there we go. So we have 3,700 coming in right around here, this next horizontal. I don't really have anything else lining up around there, but I do think that you're likely to kind of have a little bit of a reaction there to kind of wash out some more over aggressive traders. But my next big blue box territory is this guy right here, between about 3,000 and 2,500. And let's actually put on the 200 simple moving average, because that's actually going to get the upside of this box pretty damn well. As you can see, it's starting to hook around, and if price action comes down, you know it's gonna start to come back into this box right over here, just like the 200 exponential did on the 4,000 level. So again, I'd be looking towards here to kind of be the next area. That's also the 886 Fibonacci retracement at around 2,500, I believe, which is where Bitcoin actually did bottom out in 2014, the 886, and it actually, but a very, 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 very extreme reaction right when it did touch down on it, and you did accumulate between the 786 and the 886, which would imply a range between about 2,500 and 4,100 on Stamp over here. So again, you know, kind of getting into that range now. Again, we're just kind of, you know, slowly but surely ticking down all the boxes. And that's what I'd be looking for if 3,700 were to fail. Now, yes, there are targets that are lower. I don't necessarily think that we're going to be getting there. But, you know, if this area were to fail, then yes, I would start looking towards this next horizontal right here, right around, you know, basically your prior high of your prior market cycle at around, you know, $1,100, $1,200. So I don't want to scare anyone with that. Again, this is not intended to be scary or anything like that. I'm not trying to be Mr. FUD or fuck you or anything like that. I just want to be Mr. Opportunity and perspective, because with perspective comes opportunity, right? So again, that's what I'd be looking for. And I bet if I did put on like the 377 EMA, that probably does come down around there. You don't even have enough space to kind of fill it out just yet, but it looks like it's going to curl down. What if I do it for the 3? People aren't even aware of the 377 now, are you? Jesus, man. Let's see. What if the 377 on the simples? Yeah, not going to have enough there either. So I don't think that Bitcoin even has enough price action history to really get that one in there. But that would be a big area if Bitcoin probably had, you know, I don't know, like another 5-10 years of price action history. So there you go. Okay, let's get back more into the lower time frames. I'm curious what's going on BitMexico right over here. 10 minute, as you can see, I did not make this chart in a 10 minutes, so don't take all of these horizontals as verbatim. I think I made this on like an hourly or 2 hour. Yeah, hourly looks about right. Looks like we just reclaimed the 21 exponential moving average right over here. As long as we're kind of above 44.50, I am going to have a little bit of a long exposure most likely. And then this horizontal down here at around 42.50ish area, kind of getting your low. But again, it's like a range, right? You know, you got to use, I use the dildo bodies because I just feel like they're more, they are more indicative of where the bots and the algorithms want this price action to be. And even last night when you did get this final wash out just a few ticks below, and a not massive wick, but taking you right back up, you know, above the 200 exponential on the weekly. So again, all these things coming into play. Okay, what else we have to talk about? Let's go over here and check out GBTC. How's he doing? He did close the day down, actually closing the day on his lows. Now, of course, do you even have bullish? No, you don't even have bullish divergence on an hourly. That's pretty hilarious. So this would be actually a little bit more indicative of probably making a new low. To be quite honest with you, GBTC does look like it wants to make a new low. Now it did actually open the day up, but got rejected at this next horizontal. Again, I have not touched this chart in fucking ages. I made this chart, you know, maybe a month, 2 months ago. ago, and just respecting all these levels just flawlessly. Again, not saying this to sound arrogant or like I'm cool or anything like that. No, it's so that you can do it yourself. Now, if we do go to the daily over here and take everything off and just take a look at price action, this is kind of an inverted dildo. But again, when we go down into the lower time frames, it's not necessarily the same story. Now, if we were to fully break this next horizontal right around $4, and I believe it's what is it, like 75 cents, something like that, then yes, Bitcoin goes into another free fall down to about $3 and 86.5 cents. Again, this has been a leading indicator for Bitcoin getting the moves pretty damn well. So I would be looking for this to kind of offer up some sort of perspective on the next move if we were to break $4 and I think it was like 65, 70 cents or something like that. So yeah, keep an eye out on that. But this does, if you were just looking at the daily, you'd say, okay, that's an inverted dildo or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Typically a reversal dildo. But when you go down to the hourly right over here, this is a little bit less certain. I need to see this guy closing some dailies back above $5.30. That would make me a lot more confident. Although not really changing the full picture at all. It's not really until you get back above this area right here, about $8.05, where the picture really starts to change. I'm sorry to say this, but it's got a lot of work to do over here. Let's go check out SPYs as traditional markets have been making lows along with Bitcoin. By the way, for all the people thinking that traditional markets, bottoming is good for Bitcoin, fuck no, that is not the evidence that we have in front of our faces. In fact, they seem to make their price action on similar kind of extremes, but right over here actually hitting our next horizontal, which we spoke about, was likely. I do still have a measure move taking us a little bit lower down to this 260-ish area. Perhaps I don't know if it happens this week, as it is kind of a holiday week, and typically markets like to not close on a super big down note, when it's a holiday. Although if they do, then that's pretty indicative that we're, shit's about to get very, very real. But again, I think maybe over the next couple weeks we do come down to this level, and then in just either middle to late December or January, we probably do start breaking the 21 exponential right over here around 260-ish area and start making our way down to about 240, and then I think eventually 210. And man, when I used to actually be a market maker in equity options, I would trade SPY, and this thing was like still below 200, way back when. So it's kind of crazy to see it all the way around almost 300 at its high over here. Again, major bearish divergence on the monthly. I mean, this is a fucking monthly, guys. It's fucking monthly right over here. Major bearish divergence on your stochastics and rejecting the more critical zones. So to me, this one really does want to come down. But again, it's a monthly, so it takes time. So again, time, that sort of elusive factor. Let's go check out Mr. Beaterall. I think he's been beat up pretty damn well. Has he met our measured move just yet? I think so. Oh baby, you gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. And again, measured move's not gonna get it exactly to the fucking T. Sometimes it does, but gets us in the range right there, coming all the way down to, I think we had about 134, and I think our low is actually 126. But close enough is close enough. Again, we identified this trade way back over here when you broke 195. So again, if you took that trade, congratulations, phenomenal. I hope that one worked out well for you. Absolutely great, absolutely fucking phenomenal price action. This is why symmetrical triangles, I think, have a high degree of playing out. I just see them actually play out most of the time. And you saw it right over here as well, and then you saw it again right over here. So it gives you 2 times to get a beautiful short in, and now kind of hitting our next level right here makes me think, okay, we're going to spend a little bit of time at least going sideways and perhaps a little bit of up, but I'd say at least a few days of sideways at the very least. I'd feel pretty confident in saying that. So what else do I like about this? I like how it has good confluence with Bitcoin hitting its major area as well. Its first major area, I should say. Again, I do think that we go lower, but not just yet. And when I say lower, I mean breaking 4,000, breaking bad, no, breaking 4,000. So again, that's what I'd be looking at right over there. What else do we have? Do we want to check on Mr. Rippler? Yeah, we could go check on Mr. Rippler. We said yesterday that he was likely at a local high. Yes, indeed, it has been a local high. A nice long-legged doji dildo right here. Darth Maul dildo coming back into the force and shoving price action, making it look like we are ready to kind of cool this bitch off. Probably come back down to at least 8,800. And I think over time probably do make your way down to about 8,000 Satoshi. Again, I'm kind of skeptical on this price action, to be quite honest with you. This is versus Bitcoin versus the dollar. It's still consolidating this area, but it doesn't look it doesn't look that good to me, to be honest with you. But again, until you actually break 38.5 cents, you know, I mean, it's still one of the better, it's still certainly one of the better charts in this market along with Stellar. But until you actually break 38.5 cents, don't want to get too damn bearish on this guy. And if you do break 58 cents over here, well, then it's time to go back to probably like 70, 80 cents, something like that. So overall, I would be skeptical of even the ones that seem to have been doing good in this downtrend. I think that if you're still using the US dollar, you're probably not too happy with this drop down. Yesterday, we've lost a 21 exponential. So while we might rally back up to about 48 cents, I think that that's going to likely be a sell, and we do come back down and fill in this space. But again, until you actually break 38 cents, you know, it's still one of the best charts in Bitcoin land, in crypto land. Okay, what else do we have, baby? We need to cover up a few more things. CME futures over here actually trading at a little bit of a discount, even though they are expiring next week. So typically speaking, you wouldn't see any discount. You'd see these basically trading at parity, but they're trading at 44.45. So about 20 bucks below spot right now. So that is interesting. That means that futures are a little bit, you know, the future is a little bit bearish. So we should get some price action when those do close next week, I would imagine, as this is going to be, you know, especially if we have a discount right now, there's likely to be some fireworks. Now, of course, we won't know the actual move until like, you know, a few hours beforehand, because we need to actually see, you know, what are traders likely to do, how do they have to roll their positions, and then we can actually make some inferences into price action. But for now, just definitely have it on your radar, because that's likely to be a major impetus for price action. I'd imagine. Okay, let's go back into Bitcoin over here. I just want to cover up a few more things and I'll let you go. Okay, all right. Let's go back to the weekly. And I do want to just talk a little bit about the overall picture right here. Let's do some measurements, right? Let's get the date and time over here. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. Can we do this without bringing up all the other drawing tools? That'd be great. But essentially, oh fuck. Well, fucking hell, man. Okay, so we've made it all the way down to our first blue box. So I just want to kind of measure this guy out and talk about this for a second. This is at current moment in time about almost a 78.5% drop down to our first area. Now let's go over here into 2014 and see what that looked like in 2014. 78.5% right here was actually your first leg. What was actually your first big leg down. Now we do have some discrepancies between the exponentials and what these percentages would be doing. I would go with the exponentials, which say we are more mature in this formation right now. But if we're going off of the percentages, there are a few interesting things here. This would be suggesting that we do have, you know, another big move down, which I do think is extremely likely. Now, notice how this diagonal trend line right over here, which basically got your first initial consolidation essentially right, did act as support for not only this drop but also the ultimate drop as well. Well, if we were to do the same thing right over here, where would that come in around? And actually, I have this wrong. Sorry about that. I do have that wrong. It's actually more like this. I don't know why that drawing reset, but essentially we did just hit it. We did kind of just base off of it right here, when bounce off of it. So we do have really good confluence between these sorts of things. Let me just kind of, there we go. Okay, beautiful. Anyways, if we were to just extrapolate this to the next drawdown at 85.5%, let's just see, you know, let's just kind of use our percentages to see if that matches up with any of our other targets, just out of curiosity. And, you can see it now. It's leading us right into our next blue box territory in, you know, a smidge below 3,000, around 2,800. So again, you know, you never know where a wick can go, and this is why I say, you know, I'm not interested in like buying a capitulation, because you saw it yesterday. You know, Bitcoin was just fucking going up and down. At the end of the day, the dust did settle at the critical level, but you know, it was kind of a wild card all the way through. But hey, you know, just kind of an interesting thing to be aware of right over here. As Bitcoin did take about 420 days, great number, right over here in 85.5% in 2014 to kind of go from high to low. If we were to extrapolate that to 2018, this would actually be, you know, about the same percentage, right? Well, we could actually just do it a little bit more accurately, something like that. And a little bit longer, about 455 days, 460 days, something like that. So again, you know, we're having great confluence between these things. I'm not saying that that's going to happen exactly like that, but market cycles are typically brothers. They're not identical brothers, but they are brothers. And they do have a lot of similarities between each other, because again, what we're looking at here is not necessarily a chart of Bitcoin. We're looking at human psychology with regards to Bitcoin in a way. human psychology hasn't changed ever since we became anatomically modern Homo sapiens, you know, hundreds of thousands of years ago or whenever that was. If you're more scientifically minded, please feel free to correct me in the comments or abuse me in the comments and tell me how stupid I am, because, well, I fucking deserve it, baby. I've been a bad boy. I've been a bad bear. But hey, you know, I would be looking at something like this right here. And again, you know, we're going through the next kind of phase right here. I think we're getting, I don't know, maybe like anger or something like that if you were to go off the emotional phase. But true capitulation will be when people have lost all hope and there's true despair in the air. I think we did see a little bit of capitulation yesterday. That was very intense price action. That is kind of what capitulation can feel like, but we didn't get the volume of capitulation. Going back in over here, you know, basically no bounces allowed all the way through from about 5,500 all the way down to really 4,200, and then another sweep of the low right there. Just absolutely textbook, fucking super nasty, but great at the same time. Just beautiful to kind of follow through. Anyways, I'm gonna go back on over here to wrap up the most important things in the more immediate time frames so that we can move on, and then I'll let you go. But going back on over here, okay, so as long as Bitcoin is holding above this kind of range right here, this blue, I'm gonna put, again, it's a blue box territory. As long as we're kind of holding above this guy right here, I think, you know, I don't think that we're gonna be breaking 4,000 just yet. I think that it does happen over time, but I think that we're gonna start filling in this space somewhere in this range. But that would be between about 42.80 to about 42.30. So as long as we're above there, you know, I think that we got a nice local low. I mean, quite obviously, it's like if you don't go fucking lower, you know, you're gonna be fine. But again, if you do break that area, then yes, I'd start looking towards 3,700-ish area. Right here, right now, it looks like we're at our next resistance, kind of testing this area right around 44.60-ish area. Needs to hold on to the hourly 21 exponential moving average over here to kind of have a chance. But overall, you know, your next resistance above that would be about 45.50. That's not a strong resistance, though. That's not a strong resistance at all. In fact, I could get rid of it, and it's not going to matter too much. This next one, however, is kind of where the next range comes in, right around 46.30-ish area, which is likely to line up with this green 55 exponential right over here. Above there, you got 47.50. If you can get above 47.50, I don't really see much stopping you from about 4,900 to really low 5,000s, you know, right over here. So those are the ranges that be. Those are kind of the trades that I'd be looking at. Again, not really having any positions right now. Small long exposure, which I'll be happy to close if we got back below this area right over here. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Hope this one finds you well. I'll be back on later with another live stream. Very fun times recently, so I'm glad that everyone could be there, and look forward to seeing you guys soon. Take care.